All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I have a doozy for you today. This is a wholesale transaction deal. I'm going to tell you about a deal that I did recently from start to finish, where I got the lead, how I sold the lead, how much money I made on the whole situation, and all of the drama. This one has a lot of drama involved in it. So if you like drama in your real estate transactions, then I guess stay tuned because this one has a lot of it. So anyways, if you're new here, my name is Dana, and I go by @DanaInvests on Instagram. If you want to give me a follow there, I would appreciate it. Dana Invests here on YouTube, and if you need help with a deal or you just want to kind of watch along, feel free to come in and hang out. If you see some of my old videos, if you say, hey man, I'm short on money, I don't have the funds to do like buying these leads like you do, go do some of the stuff like I do back here. I sell on eBay and Amazon I made 6 figures a year doing that for years before I transitioned over to real estate. And really, if you're short on funds, you probably should be doing that anyways, because it's a great way to make money. So go check out those videos if you want to learn how to make money with flipping stuff. This is where I flip contracts on this video. I'm going to tell you about a vacant land that I got, how I closed it, all that fun stuff. So anyways, this lead came to me from PPL. PPL is pay per lead from the source provider of Leadzolo. That's the one that I got on this one. Almost exclusively, my vacant land leads come from Leadzolo because they have the cheapest price for it. And watch for a video coming up on that soon. So anyways, the lead came in. I called the lady and she said, well, it's actually my sister who's dealing with selling the land, but she wants me to negotiate everything and she just wants to sign the paperwork. And I said, okay, cool. Well, tell me a little bit more about it. And we had a conversation, and it was a 6,000 square foot piece of vacant land in McGregor, Texas, which is not really in a big town. There's not a lot of activity for land going on there. Anyways, it was near a railroad track, and so it just really wasn't super exciting. And I was like, man, but there's decent enough comps for, like, I think it would probably sell for 30 grand, something in that kind of area. How much do you want for it? She wanted 20 grand. And I'm like, that's too tight for a cash transaction. I can't pay 20 and closing costs and sell for 30. Maybe I could, but if it sat for a while, it really wasn't a great deal at that number. And so we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I offered her $10,000 as a cash deal. I was like, look, I'll give you $10,000 cash if you want to do that. She's like, well, I have to run it by my sister. She ran it by the sister. Sister said no. The lowest I'll take is 14,000. I was like, okay, I can't do 14 cash, but I can do 14 if you're willing to give me some time. And what I can do is then see if I can find a buyer who's willing to pay more than I will. So I'll pay cash. I'll close tomorrow at 10,000 bucks. Like, easy. I'll pay you the 10 grand. If you want the 14, I'll do it, but I need 90 days inspection period to do the inspections, to see if I can bring on a partner or find somebody who's willing to pay that 14,000 for you, and I'll cover all the closing costs and all that stuff in addition. So she agreed. She said, fine, you give me the 14, I'll give you the 90 days. So I was like, all right, cool. Sent the agreement via DocuSign for the $14,000, 90-day inspection period, and I immediately, once I got it back, went straight out to trying to dispo this property. First thing I was thinking is the lot is on a corner. The house next door to it owned the house, and they owned all the way to the end of the block. So they had a huge lot, and they owned everything except this one little chunk. So first thing in my mind is maybe the neighbor would want to buy it. And I tried to skip trace, but I couldn't find the correct phone number. I messaged the husband and wife both on Facebook. They didn't respond. So I ended up sending a letter to their address. And it had been now at this point probably 4 or 5 days into my inspection period that I'm still waiting, and I hadn't heard back from them. So I wasn't committing that I was going to be able to sell it to the neighbor. I was hoping I was going to, but I wasn't committing to it. So I went ahead and I listed it on Baycom.com, www.beycome.com. It's a place where you can list vacant land in a whole bunch of different states. Check it out. Costs about $89 to $99, and then you just upload the photos, you put your description, and then they forward the calls and emails to you, and you try to close the deal. So I put it up on Flat Fee MLS, and I started getting calls pretty quickly. And I had listed it at 26.9 is where I listed it. And because I was just hoping for the best, you know. And I had probably 3 offers of 20 grand within a few days. And I was like, all right, cool. I've got it at 14. They're paying closing costs at 20 grand. I can make a fast 6,000 bucks. I'm happy with that any day of the week. But I hadn't accepted any of them yet because they were all like, well, I want to think about it. and I want to go do an inspection. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, when you're ready to be official, like write a contract, let me know. And at that time, the neighbor called me. He got my letter in the mail and he said, you have this available for sale. Tell me the situation. Who are you? You're not the owner. Then how is this happening? So I had to kind of explain what my role in it was, that I had the contract. I was willing to assign him the contract if he was willing to pay the $20,000, because that's what I offered it to him for, because I was hoping it would be a quick, easy transaction with the neighbor. And I was willing to take less to do that. Because of something I'll tell you in just a second here, which was the first part of drama. I had to get photos for this land, and it's being that it's not in a major city, there wasn't anybody that I knew there. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and I searched for things for sale. So pro tip, if you need photos in a property or for an area that is not near a lot of other stuff or people, go on Facebook Marketplace for that city and just search for stuff for sale. So I found a lady who had like a lot of baby clothes or something like that listed for $20. And I messaged her and I said, hey, I don't want the baby clothes, but would you go take pictures of a piece of vacant land for me for that $20? And she said, absolutely, I will do that. Give me the address, tell me where it is, blah, blah, blah. So within a couple hours, I had the photos to me. And she said, hey, I didn't go on the property and take photos because there are some big dogs on the property in dog kennels. And I was like, huh. This is supposed to be just vacant land. Like nobody lives on it. It's just vacant land. And she goes, well, that house that's right there, which is really close to the property line, they had built dog kennels on this lot because nobody's ever used the lot before. So they were just taking advantage of it. And she's like, they're pretty scary. And so I was like, oh man, this is going to cause problems. That was part of the thing for why I wanted to sell it to the neighbor too, was like, hey, you don't have to move all your stuff. If you just want to buy it, then you can own it and leave it all there. And that's part of what he said. He's like, yeah, I've got my dog kennels there. I don't really want to move anything, and I don't want anybody building there because it would be so close to my house. 20 grand plus closing costs. I got it. I will do that. No problem. Let's make this happen. And I was like, sweet. Found a buyer. I had the seller contracted at 14, have the buyer contracted at 20, send it off to title, and everything should be good. Comes in to second part of drama. I got two fingers here, but second part of drama is, I don't think I said this at the beginning, but it was the sister who was negotiating on behalf of the other sister who was supposed to have ownership of the property, but it was still in someone else's name, which was grandma's sister. So the sister of the sister's grandma's sister is the owner, who died like 20 years ago, and nobody ever transferred the title. So that gave it to the daughter, who then was supposed to give it to that daughter, right? Did that all track how that flew? Anyways, so there's what's called a affidavit of heirship that you can get in certain states, like Texas. You can get that affidavit of heirship. Basically, the title company would contact all of the potential descendants down that line and say, hey, does this person have the right to own it and to sell it? And as long as there's no issues, then they'll sign it off and it'll be good to go. Well, problem is, we could never find even the title in grandma's name, grandma's sister's name. We went to the county. I called the mayor. I called the county clerk. Nobody could find who officially owned this piece of property. Is that crazy or what? So they said, well, we see on record it shows this name, but we don't know who that is. The mailing address they had was the person who I'm buying the property from, or contracted with, but the name on the title, they're like, we have no idea. When did they buy this property? Seller didn't know. I actually called her one day and I was like, hey, can you tell me about this? And she got really angry and she hung up on me and said, don't call me again until you're ready to write a check. And I was like, okay, well, I'm trying to figure this out for you, lady. We got to like put two and two together. So I paid a guy to go down to the county records and thumb through all the books to try and see if he could find the deed for who officially owned this property so that we could get it sold. And he couldn't find it. So he couldn't find it. They couldn't find it. The title rep couldn't find it. The underwriter couldn't find it. And it went through all this process to eventually get to the point where the title company said, hey, we have two options. He can get an attorney and we can file a lawsuit. They can do all this stuff, right? So they can file with the seller, can file a lawsuit to get ownership of it. And then we can provide a clear title and title insurance to your buyer. Or if the buyer is willing to buy it as is with no title insurance, then we can close it now and he will be good and done and ready. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I called the buyer and I said, hey, situation is they can't find the official deed to transfer the ownership. Since you've been doing it anyways, since you've been using it, it probably doesn't matter to you, but I can get you this, they'll close it, but you can't have a warranty deed. You're going to have a deed without warranty, which shows that you own it, but you don't have a warranty deed on it. And so it might be a problem when you go to sell it later that somebody may ask a question about, hey, how come you don't have the warranty deed on that part of the land? But you can potentially apply or get an attorney involved later to fix that. But as of now, that's the only way that it can be closed. Otherwise, we have to void this and start over. And I said it could take a couple years if we do it the other way. And I don't think that seller's going to go through all that anyways. And he was like, all right, I'm totally fine with that. I'm cool with it. Like, I understand what that means. I understand how it works. I'll buy it without the warranty deed. Yeah, we got some fireworks and stuff going on in the background there. So I was like, yes, all right, cool. The deal is saved. I thought it was dead. We got it saved. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's get this done. So I contacted the seller and I'm like, all right, here's what's the situation. They're going to get it closed. They just need you to sign this document that states that, you're selling it on behalf of XYZ, the name that's on there. And she was like, I'm not signing anything else, and hung up and just started ghosting. And she would not respond to me. She would not respond to the title company. She would not respond to emails. It was a big fiasco. And so we finally got to the end, and it was like a week from when we were supposed to close. And the title rep sent all the paperwork to me, and he's like, look, if you can get her to sign, we'll close this. If you can't, then we're going to void this transaction. And I'm like, I was kind of mad about the whole thing, but I'm like, all right, lady, look, if you want your money, we need to do this. And then she said, well, I'm not signing it because you're not giving me the amount that I agreed to. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, we agreed to $14,000. This says I'm only getting like $9,700. And I said, well, you guys haven't paid taxes on it for 20 years. So there's $4,400 in back taxes that are owed on it. So those have to come out of that 14. So you're still getting 14, but you got to pay those taxes out of that amount before you can officially sell it. If you don't want to pay those taxes, then it's just going to go to a tax deed sale anyways, and someone's going to buy it for like that $4,000 instead of you getting still that almost $10,000. And she was like, nope, if I don't get my 14, like, you got to take care of the taxes. If I don't get my 14, then I'm not selling. And I was like, dang it. Could I have given her the 14? Yeah. What a lot of wholesalers have given in there and been like, look, I'll just make $2,000 or $1,800 or whatever it is. I'll cover the taxes and then keep this moving. Probably a lot of people would, but I was like, you know what? She doesn't have another option. This is the best case scenario for her. I'm going to tell her, look, they are ready to give you your money if you sign this, and you are getting the 14. So I had to explain it to her. You are getting your 14, but you got to pay the taxes. No matter what, you have to pay the taxes or you're going to lose the property anyways. And so she finally was like, all right, fine, I'll sign. And I'm like, all right, great. She's going to sign. And then the buyer calls and he says, hey, by the way, I'm short on funds. I can't close on Friday how we're supposed to. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been like so hard working with this lady to get her to finally sign. And then the buyer's like, I'm short on funds. I didn't think this was going to close for another couple weeks. And so I need to get a check from my company and blah, 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 blah. So we're like, all right, cool. Well, you need to move it to next Friday is what you need. And he said, yep, I need to move it to next Friday. So we're like, all right, fine. So we moved it to the next Friday. Come Wednesday, he had the money in hand and he wired it to the title company. And so I was like, all right, cool. We're golden. And then Wednesday, the title company calls me. Yeah, here's fireworks again. It's AI stuff from Apple. Anyways, so I'm like, we're golden. So the title company calls me and says, hey, seller's ghosting again. She still hasn't signed. And I'm like, dang it, ladies, sign the freaking document. And so I was like, is it notary or does it just DocuSign or like, what is it? And they're like, it's just a DocuSign. She just needs to click it. She clicks one button and she'll get paid her money and we'll close this thing. And so I called her, no answer. I called her, left a message, and then I sent a text. I sent a text through my computer because it's text app anyways. The next day, she still hadn't responded, so I sent her an email, checked the title company. Title company said, nope, she still hasn't responded. And I'm like, all right, now it's Thursday. We're supposed to close by, tomorrow effectively. And so I left her a voicemail again. I said, hey, they have all your money. They're ready to send it to you as soon as you click that button. You just got to click that button, and they're going to send you a check or a wire, however you got it set up, as soon as you do that. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So then she said, all right, I'll do it. And she didn't do it. She still didn't do it. She said, I need my daughter to come over and show me how to do this because I don't feel comfortable signing this without someone else looking at it. And it was like, okay. So then she said, all right, it's signed, it's done, we're golden. And that was like late Thursday night. And so I called the title company Friday morning and they said, no, she clicked it, but she didn't click the final button that says submit. And so it was like, all right. So they had to resend her the new one where she could click it, click submit. And finally she did it. She clicked submit. The buyer's funds were in. Everything officially closed. I got paid my $6,000 assignment fee. The seller got paid out their $14,000 minus taxes, so she got like $9,700. The buyer paid $20,000 plus closing costs, so his all-in was like 22 and change, and everybody was happy. And this was a crazy one that had a lot of drama and situations with dog kennels and scary things on there. No title insurance being available, not the right property owner that we could verify on record. I wouldn't recommend that for a lot of people, especially if you're new to get into that. But because we had all the disclosures and everything through the title company that verified like, hey, everybody's aware of what's going on with this transaction and everybody was still happy, we went forward with that. So anyways, what do you think of the story and how this transaction went down? So I told you how I found the deal was PPL through Leadzolo. I told you how I negotiated the deal looking at comps that I thought it would sell like full market value in the 30 range, but I wanted to sell it below market so it would sell fast. And that's where we agreed to the 14 and I sold it at the 20. Do I think I probably could have got a couple grand more by going to somebody not a neighbor? Yes, in the beginning, but with the no title insurance, no, I don't think I ever would have got more than that 20. I think the neighbor was all the money that was going to get paid on that lot, unless we went through like a process of getting a lawsuit and getting the title. And by the time you paid more money for that, you wouldn't have got enough money to make it worth that hassle in the background. How did I get pictures of it? Since I'm remote and I'm doing this all from my computer in my office right here, Facebook Marketplace, found somebody selling something and offered to pay them that amount to just go take pictures for me. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars. Go offer somebody $20 and they'll get that taken care of for you. How did I find the title company? It was a referral for a friend who had used them before. This was in Texas. I've used the same title company on 4 different transactions. They've always been good for me, so I'm happy with them, and I just rolled forward with that. How did I find the disposition? Like, how did I find the buyer? That was from mailing the neighbor a letter after tried cold calling and skip tracing and Facebook messaging, that none of which worked. The mailing a letter to the neighbor was the one that found him and got me that deal. So hopefully that's a good enough story for you. If you guys are interested in checking out and doing PPL yourself, there's links down in the description where you could get free or discount leads. Sign up with my affiliate links. I may get a commission from them. I don't get it on all of them, but I may get it on there. But the 3 that are down there, I personally use. My CRM's down there. If you want to like learn more wholesaling stuff like that, maybe check out the subto community. There's links for all that below. But appreciate you guys checking out my videos. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment for the algorithm if you made it this far, and tell me you made it to the end. And thanks for watching, and catch you on the next one.